All right, ITA 511, let's talk about something that you're probably going to come across when you start in the customs industry, and that is Courier LVS entries. Now, Courier LVS entries, there's in customs brokerages, they usually have a separate department for these type of entries. And in a lot of instances, from the feedback we've gotten from students, is this seems to be a very popular spot for companies to start new employees in the customs brokerage industry, the Courier LVS department. And I'll talk about why that is, or actually why that has become quite apparent when you start to see what these entries are all about. So Courier LVS entries travel via a courier. So when I'm talking courier, I mean United Parcel Service, UPS, Federal Express, FedEx, DHL, Purolator, things of companies like that. And the value of the shipment is less than $3,300 Canadian. Okay, so it has to be traveling by a courier, and its value has to be less than $3,300. Now it can be $3,300 right on, but it has to be this as high as it can go. And this is the interesting thing. The customs broker is given the shipment information after the goods are delivered. And the customs broker has 1 month to assess duties and taxes by the 24th of the next month. So if you have a shipment that shows up today, which is November the 4th, say, as an example, you don't have to transmit the duties and taxes to CBSA till the 24th of December. So let's talk about what a courier is, okay, how couriers work. The reason why these shipments have come into play is people spend a lot of money on courier shipments. A courier shipment is very, very expensive freight-wise. It's a lot more expensive than just a normal air freight shipment. And also, because of the values, less than $3,300 Canadian, the duties and taxes never really add up to a lot of money. So the courier companies sat down with the Canadian government and CBSA and devised this program called the Courier LVS program. So let's give an understanding how couriers work, especially Federal Express. So a courier in the USA picks up a Toronto-bound package, including the customs documentation and the waybill. The shipment is driven to a local sort station. It's taken to the local airport and is put on a FedEx plane, a Federal Express plane. And let's for example, this has got snow, so let's pretend it is, New York City, New York. So the courier in New York City picks up a Toronto-bound package, drives it to the local sort station. It gets put on an airplane, a Federal Express plane, and that plane flies to the hub. Memphis, Tennessee is the hub for Federal Express. Memphis, Tennessee is in the middle, almost the middle of the United States. So every day, Federal Express planes take off from all the cities and fly to Memphis, Tennessee, including our plane from New York. The planes arrive in Memphis, Tennessee with courier package from all U.S. origins, and they're offloaded, and the package are sorted for their particular destination. Now, shipment that comes off of the New York plane that's going to Miami gets sorted to go on, fly to Miami. But with Toronto-bound shipments, they have to clear customs, so they're sorted by value. They're sorted less than $20 Canadian, between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian, and over $3,300 Canadian. And after they're sorted, they're containerized and loaded upon a Toronto-bound plane. And that plane takes off for Toronto. While en route, Federal Express transmits by ACI all the information regarding the Courier LVS shipments. The Courier LVS shipments are the shipments worth between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian. And they transmit those information to Federal Express Toronto, who in turn sends the information to Canada Border Services Agency. Now, Canada Border Services Agency looks over the manifest with all the shipments on that plane that are for Toronto and are worth between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian. And they look for specific items, maybe specific importers, specific exporters, and they may say, listen, I want these particular shipments, these 5 shipments, I want you to make them available for inspection when they arrive, or these 3 entries, we want a formal customs entry rather than use this Courier LVS system. So what happens is the plane arrives in Toronto and it is offloaded. Now, the courier companies, Federal Express included, pays to have CBSA officers watch the Courier LVS containers. So that's the container on the ship, pardon me, the container on the plane that's worth between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian. They're watching these containers be destuffed, and they may decide to look at a few pieces for inspection, or they run a dog through it to make sure there's nothing illegal, etc., etc. But they watch all the items being offloaded. After offload, Customs releases all approved shipments for delivery, and the courier puts all those shipments out on delivery that morning. All the shipments on the plane between $20 Canadian, $3,300 Canadian. So, what happens to the shipments that are worth less than $20 Canadian? Well, those are called, those are an order in council. A shipment that's worth less than $20 Canadian does not have to clear customs. So those go on delivery. Shipments worth between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian are Courier LVS entries. We're going to show you how we deal with those in a minute. The shipments worth more than $3,300 Canadian go through the normal process of customs clearance. So, after offload, Customs releases all the approved shipments for delivery, and the courier delivers the freight. Shipment information is delivered / made available to the local customs brokers, physically and electronically, and that is for shipments worth between $20 and $3,300. And the customs broker has to assess duties and taxes by the 24th of the next month. Courier LVS entries are rated individually, so you'll be in the Courier LVS department and you'll be doing what we call a mini B3 for each shipment, but we transmit one transmission to CBSA with all the duties and taxes. No individual shipment information is transmitted to CBSA. We work all month doing shipments that arrived in November, and we transmit this monster Courier LVS entry on the 24th of the next month, which in our example would be December 24th. The B3 has no individual shipment information. It just has the total of duty and GST that needs to be paid. And I'll show you an example of one in a minute. Okay. Now, some goods are not eligible for Courier LVS. Prohibitive goods, goods subject to other government departments, food, plant, alcohol, tobacco, and these goods must clear through the normal clearance process. It's not just for air courier shipments, it can also be for truck / highway courier shipments. And like we said before, no individual shipment information is transmitted to CBSA. Okay, so let me show you what one of these entries looks like. So you'll be working let's say you're working in the Courier LVS department. The only shipments you're going to deal with are shipments that are worth between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian. These shipments, when they arrive at your desk, are already delivered. The customer already has this shipment. What you're going to do is you're going to do a mini B3 for each one of these shipments that you're going to come across your desk, and it'll be added to a monster entry that encompasses all the B3s your coworkers are doing. So let's say you have 10 people working in the Courier LVS department. Each one of you is doing all these different B3s. So let's say you have this shipment comes across your desk. It's for ABC company. It's a wooden chair, and you go into the software system and you do a B3 for it, and your B3 will look like this. As you can see, it's a different looking B3. It's a LVS, a Courier LVS shipment. So as you can see, it's got the vendor. Okay. It's got the vendor, ABC company, the importer, some other company. Okay, some other company. Wooden chair, $350.25. Wooden chair, $355.25. Value for duty, the value for tax, GST. Now there's only one item here, so you have the totals come across the bottom here. The reason why we're not doing a regular B3 that you normally see is you don't have to do a B3 for every single shipment. All you have to do is tell customs what the duties and the taxes are for this particular shipment. Now, the rest of the people in your department, plus you, on your next shipment, are doing other B3s. Here we have a shipment that's a calculator, and it's worth $252. There's no duty because it's duty-free, but there's $16.90 GST. And later on, you do a shipment that is a clutch. It's worth $700. There's $56.33 duty and $49.76 GST. And one of your coworkers is doing a shipment of brochures. These are all shipments that came by courier companies, and they're all worth between $20 Canadian and $3,300 Canadian. Now, all month from the first of the month to from the first of the month to the end of the month, you're doing these little mini B3s, and you're charging your customer on this one you're charging them no duty plus $35.14 GST plus a brokerage fee for doing this particular type of entry, and your customer pays you. But at the end of the month, on the 24th of the month, one of your manager or one of your employees designated to do this hits a button and processes all the Courier LVS entries that you and your fellow employees have done for that month. And what comes out is a gigantic worksheet of all the different shipments that were done that month. Okay. Now, as well, what comes out is a normal looking B3 that you and I normally recognize, and it's called a Courier LVS B3, and the type is not AB, it's an F type. Okay. We put who we are, the customs broker, or if we wish, we can do one of these F types for every one of our importers, but most customs brokers just put their name down here. Okay. And we tell them that, you got some various shipments, we make up all sorts. This information here is all made up. And we have one line. It says LVS. The HS number is 000999900. We tell customers we have 35 shipments. This B3 represents 35 of these. Okay. The value of all the shipments is $23,433.51. The duties is this amount. The GST is this amount. There's no specific. This B3 F-type B3 represents 35 shipments, and we tell customs, here's your duties, here's your taxes, and we transmit this to CBSA, and we pay the duties and taxes. Okay, so this B3, we call it a monster because even though it's only one line, it can represent hundreds of these shipments. Okay, because under the Courier LVS program, you don't send the individual information. All you send them is the GST and the duty of each one of these individual shipments, and a B3 called an F-type. Now, the reason why you'll probably be working in this particular department to begin with is it's a great place to learn. You see all sorts of different shipments every single day, and the shipments you work on are not worth very much. So if you make a mistake, the mistake isn't as dire. Okay, it doesn't make as much impact on everyone when you make a mistake on a $350 shipment as opposed to a $350,000 shipment. And if you make a mistake, it's hidden. This may not be right, but this information on here is not on the F-type. The F-type just gives the total duty and GST of all these shipments added together. Okay, so it's a great place to learn because you're all over the HS tariff every day, and you don't have as much pressure on you because the shipments aren't worth very much, and the shipments are already delivered, meaning you haven't got somebody phoning you saying, hey, where's my shipment? I want my shipment, and you're trying to get the goods released and they're putting pressure on you. So a lot of times you start off in these particular departments. Now the odd thing again is that we aren't doing individual B3s. We're doing these little mini B3s with just the duties and taxes of our shipment. We give them the country of origin, the tariff treatment, and the GST rate, and the duty rate, and the HS code, and what have you. But that information is not transmitted to CBSA. What is transmitted to CBSA is the total duties and taxes. Now, let's take a look here. Okay, so of all these shipments here, okay, this is this is 5 pages of shipments. The total duty is $1,120, and total GST is $1,385. Oh, it's not the same one. I thought it was. This doesn't represent this particular LVS is a different shipment. But the duties and taxes is all customs wants. They don't want to know the country of origin of each individual shipment. They don't want to know the HS number of each individual shipment. They don't want to know the tariff treatment of each individual shipment. All they want is the duties and taxes. Shipments that come by courier worth between $20 Canadian to $3,300 Canadian. The individual information is not collected, just the duties and taxes. That is what Courier LVS shipments are. And that's why a lot of people start off in this department, because you're doing these little mini B3s as opposed to a regular B3. Okay, and it's a great place to learn. So have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week.